I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we dive into an extraordinary life story with Abdul Qayum Safi, author of One Life and Afghan Remembers. From growing up in the harsh mountains of Kunar province, Afghanistan, to overcoming tremendous challenges and pursuing education across the globe, his memoir is a testament to resilience and hope. His powerful journey offers readers a glimpse into the realities of war, tradition, and survival, while embracing optimism and the strength of family. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Abdul, thank you so much for being our guest here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan, and for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. What inspired you to write this book, One Life and Afghan Remembers, and share your story with the world?
Well, it's my life, and whenever I had a meeting, informal meeting with friends and colleagues, and we, like in those meetings, you usually do talk about yourself. Mm-hmm. So whenever I talk to them about myself, I mean, they all encourage me to write something about my life. And they said it will be really exciting. Mm. So when the right time came, I sat down to it and I said, okay, let me write it. Mm. So it is the story of an Afghan who is born in a isolated rural village in eastern part of Afghanistan. It's mainly a farming community. So every family is involved directly or indirectly in the farming business. Mm. There was only one school in that whole district from grade 1 to grade 6, and it was only for boys. Girls were deprived of education. They didn't have any opportunity to go to school. The school was from grade 1 to grade 6. So after graduating from grade 6, there was no opportunity for the young boys to proceed with their education. So probably the only choice they had was to join their families and work on the family farm. One thing there in the school was that we had a ranking system. Mm-hmm. Those who had the highest grades, the person with highest grade was rank 1. Mm-hmm. And I had the privilege of being that person among 35 graduates that year. So the government made a notice of that and invited me to go to Kabul, the capital city, and attend a boarding school at the government expense.
Amazing.
So that opportunity opened the doors for further education.
Yeah. The education opens the doors to everything else, right?
That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing, amazing. What was it like growing up in Pesh? Was there, I know you said it was a rural community with just one school and mostly farming. Were you impacted at all by war? Tell us what life was like with you and your family as well.
I was born in Pech and was a year old that we had to get out of that area. It was not my native or the family-based area. So my father was a government employee. And what happened, a war broke out between the government and the local people. When they refused to send their sons to the military service. So the government came, the war started between the Safi tribe and the government. Most of the government officials there had to evacuate. Some of them were I think some of them might have been killed, I don't know. But my father being Safi and a brother to them, so they escorted him and his family to out of the area. And until we arrived in our home base district that is called Haskuna. So I attended school there. I grew up, I spent my childhood years, early years of my life, and I lived there till I graduated from the elementary school and proceeded my life.
How did your upbringing in a traditional Pashtun tribal society shape your perspective on life?
One thing good was about their life, like you have a different expectation from sons and from daughters. Mm-hmm. So if you are a son, you can travel alone. If you are a daughter, you cannot travel alone. So I had the privilege to travel alone. So what happened was, after graduating from the high school, I came out of that isolated village, the district. I traveled to the cities. It took me 3 weeks to finish the paperwork, pass the required exam, and then was sent to Kabul to attend my high school.
Yeah. And did you manage to leave Afghanistan and pursue education in Beirut and New York?
That's what happened was when I was in the government boarding school. When I graduated, it was really a big challenge there. It was a new language, and they didn't have a special program for those who were not native and those who were native. So we all sat together in the class and had to sink or swim. So in that case, I managed to do well, really. I mean, there was, after graduating from the high school, the 1/3 of the graduates had an opportunity to go to the only university in Afghanistan. There was Kabul University, and study there. So I was lucky, I was among that group. I went there and I joined College of Education and started studying there. So it was by chance, by luck, by hard work, I don't know, whatever it was. So after the first year, we had this ranking system as we had in other schools there. So I was ranked first in the class. So what happened was I was offered the USAID scholarship to go to Lebanon, but I had to take up an English test there. I went there, passed the test, and then they granted me the scholarship to go to Beirut and study at AUB, that's the American University of Beirut.
Amazing, amazing. You were fortunate that you're very intelligent, because being number one in your class benefited you multiple times, right?
There is one thing, probably good luck and also hard work too, because life in the village was very hard, very difficult life. And I just didn't want to go back there. So I took advantage of every second of my life there to study and do something like proceed with my studies and get advanced.
So you went to Beirut to study as well, and eventually New York. Tell us what brought you to New York.
When I went to AUB, it was again a new language, English. So although I passed the test in Afghanistan when I went there, I failed the entrance exam. But fortunately, they had a good system there. So those who failed the entrance exam, they were assigned to what was called the orientation program, where you studied English. read English, write English, speak English, listen to English, all those 4 skills of language. So it lasted for 2 semesters, and after 2 semesters, I took the entrance exam, passed it, and I started my regular program at the university. Instead of 4 years, it took me 5 years. So after graduation, I came back to Afghanistan. I was hoping that I would start either teaching or being assistant instructor at Kabul University, where I had received my scholarship. But I waited for 6 months, and there was no opportunity to get a job there. Yeah. So my second choice was the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education had a textbook and curriculum and textbook project. It was sponsored by Teachers College, Columbia University, and it was an AID project. So I joined that when my supervisors were all Americans. My first supervisor was a Canadian, a lady. So there, I joined the curriculum project. What we did was we were writing textbooks, new textbooks and teacher's guide for schools, elementary schools all over the country. I joined I was at the Evaluation and Measurement Center. Since I have worked in measurement and education, so assigned me there. And after 2 years, a scholarship came along. And so they say you have to go to the AID and take an English test. English test was easier. So this time it was easy. So I passed it, and I was on my way to New York, Teachers College, Columbia University.
Amazing. What was life like for you in New York? It was so different than living in a remote village in Afghanistan, that's for sure. You're in one of the biggest cities in the world, but you'd been in Beirut before, and I guess you'd been in Kabul before, so you were a little bit used to big cities?
That's what it was, really. Like you say, from village, Kabul was a big city too at that time. I mean, at that time, the local standard was the biggest city in the country. Although the population was about probably 500,000 or something, you see that, but at that time it was the biggest city in the country.
Yeah.
So living in Kabul was got used to the city life. And then Lebanon was the same way. One thing in Lebanon good thing was like I learned English there, and so I feel comfortable living in another country with the English-speaking countries.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you face any prejudice at all, do you feel, when you studied and lived in New York?
No, I don't remember any. Because first of all, possibly I was not in contact with people, a lot of people there. I was busy studying, so I didn't have time to talk to people and get their opinion as to whether there was prejudice against me or not.
Yeah.
So probably I was unaware of that one, and I didn't notice.
Exactly. Tell us about the role that hope and perseverance played in your journey of escaping war and seeking a better life.
Well, this is a hard life in the village. I mean, you know that I told you that possibly those 34 students who graduated together with me. I remember only one of them went to Jalalabad, and there was a teacher training school there. And I think he studied for 2 years and graduated from there. And everybody else, like 33 of them, probably stayed in the village and helped their families with local farms.
Yeah.
So I was the only fortunate person to come out of there and had all these opportunities.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. When you studied in New York, did you wind up staying in the United States and building your career here?
No, I didn't. When I got my master's degree from Teachers College, I went back to Afghanistan, my old job at the Ministry of Education. I stayed there for 2 years. And after 2 years, I got another scholarship to come back to New York and study at Teachers College. So when I came back, they had given me 12 months But during 12 months, what I did was I finished my coursework for EDD, the Doctor of Education. And I had only left one semester to finish my program and get my degree. So the university paid my tuition for that. And I finished my degree and got my my program and got my degree there. Something happened at that time that there was a government change in Afghanistan at that time. It was 1978. It was a government change in Afghanistan. The last president of Afghanistan, the first president, I don't know, he was after the king, was ousted by the communists, and he was killed, and the communist government took over Afghanistan. So at that time, I decided not to go back to Afghanistan. So I got married, my wife and I. She was really helpful. So with that one, we subscribed to the Chronicles of Higher Education, where we could work overseas, find jobs. So I found a good job in Kuwait, at Kuwait University. So after we got married, we went to Kuwait and joined the Kuwait University. They were trying to build, establish a center. It's called Center for Evaluation and Measurement. So when I went there, it was just the right opportunity for me. I worked there, I developed the center, and it was functioning very well when I left after 8 years.
Amazing, amazing. Where did you meet your wife?
In New York. She was my classmate in a teacher's college. So we went out for about a year, and then we got married and went to Kuwait.
Yeah, wonderful.
I wasn't sure that she would go to Kuwait. She was from Rhode Island. I said, people in Rhode Island are conservative. They don't. Yeah, I thought that people in Rhode Island were born there and they just still the land of life. Yeah. But she agreed, and we went there, and we had a good life there.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. How did your education and your international exposure shape your understanding of global issues, especially the struggles in Afghanistan?
Well, if I had stayed in Afghanistan, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
So education and higher education and exposure to other cultures enabled me to learn more. And this is what you said, knowledge, right? And education. So when education, you become aware of these issues, local and international. And then you develop your own perspective of that. And then you proceed with it. So like, see, become part of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things you've done in your life is to give back. And you gave back by supporting a girls' school in Kunar province. Tell us about that.
What we did was I established a nonprofit organization. It's called Afghan Rural Schools. During a few years that we have supported 3 schools and office of the Director of Education. And the main service we perform there is providing electricity to those 3 schools and direct office of the Director of Education. But lately, last year and this year, I traveled to Afghanistan myself. So I was fortunate that I went to the same district after 50 years to meet some of my relatives, and really it was a kind of emotional journey for me.
I'm sure.
So during that time, I went to the girls' school, high school. I was really kind of not very happy with the way the school was. I saw the school in that situation. It was very small. It didn't look like a high school. And the whole area around it was a marshy land, and I think a woodland. They have more land, but they couldn't build the whole include the whole area. So they had included a small area of their property and built a school on it. So there was only one single story building for the whole school. When I entered, in front of that building, there were two tents and the students underneath. So according to the new government rules, girls from grade 1 to grade 6 are allowed to go to school. So girls from grade 7 to 12 were not there. And even there was not enough space for those students there. So it was interesting that, like when I go there, like almost everyone I met was kind of related. So the principal was my first cousin's son-in-law. So we had a good meeting there. So we had, I discussed, I said what we could do for him, for his school. So he suggested that if we can build a ditch in that wetland to drain the water and make it dry. Then the second project that we have already approval for is to build a barrier wall between the school and the nearby river. It's a huge river. It's a really big river, one of the main rivers in Afghanistan, Kunar River. And during the rainy season, sometimes the water gets flooded. A couple of years ago, some water entered the school and caused some damage. So we have an approval for one that, and we have a design for it too. The engineers have a design for the wall to build that barrier wall. So after we build the barrier wall and the area is dry enough, so we will expand the school to the whole area that they own. We will build an area, a larger campus for the school, so that we can build more facilities, classrooms, library, computer center. We will plan that one later. So
wonderful, wonderful,
so
great
far,
thing.
We have enough money for the ditch to be built and for the barrier wall, but we might need some help for the later project, the expanding the school campus and building more facilities there.
Wonderful, wonderful work you're doing there, empowering women, empowering society, giving back to your country of origin. There's a Pashto saying that says, no matter where a person goes, he always comes back to the children of his ancestors. What does that mean to you?
Well, that is what encouraged me. I mean, although I have lived for like more than 50 years, I have lived overseas and I had a comfortable life. But my relatives, my family there were always in my mind. When I go there, see, I have 2 brothers and 4 sisters, and they all come and visit me. And I go there and visit them. So like after 50 years, it really happens. An enjoyment like that one, to see all your brothers and sisters and other cousins.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell me how you think Afghanistan's future can be shaped by education, how the decades and decades of conflict can be stopped, and how the country can be put on a path of peace, prosperity, and resilience.
The Afghan had to be honest to each other. They have to support. You see, Afghanistan has different languages. The people speak different languages there. They belong to different tribes and ethnic groups. So if those ethnic groups and speakers of those languages, and also religion is another thing, like. So if they get together and work for the country honestly, then the country can go forward and it can progress. So far, it has not been the case in Afghanistan. The Americans went there the Taliban came in 90s. They closed some schools there, especially for women. And during the 5 years, they didn't do that much, except there was war. They were still fighting in the country. And so when the 9/11 happened and the Americans invaded, went there. In 2001, that happened. What the Americans were doing there, to my knowledge, I don't know what other people think, they were not interested in the welfare of the people that much. So what they did was they were they were after the insurgents. So that's just look at the insurgent kill and I don't know, capture and that they were mainly involved in that one. So they did not pay attention to the whole country, the people there really. They didn't pay that much attention to them. And another thing was that they spent a lot of money to warlords, and the warlords got very strong. So when of course, when you are a strong person, you have bodyguards, you have other supporters, you have weapons. So the people got kind of dissatisfied with the life under them. So after dissatisfaction, the Taliban were still, although the Americans were saying that they're going to get rid of the Taliban, they could not. They were operating in the part of Pakistan and the mountains of Afghanistan. So they slowly got together with the tribal chiefs, and they kind of got their support. And with their support, as they approached Kabul, those people who were getting salaries in dollars from the United States, they just couldn't stay there anymore. They just, in that one day, all of them left. And the Taliban came to Kabul and control. But one thing now the Taliban are doing is that they are following the same policy that they had before. So now the problem is whenever the international community goes there and they advise them, they get kicked out. And now for 3 years, the girls have not, some of the girls after grade 6 have not gone to school. Some of the women have not gone to work. A lot of those people who were trained and educated, they have left the country, and it's like not in a good shape. So that's what they get, basic things. Yeah. So the main thing now is if they can put all those tribes, the speakers of the languages, ethnic groups, religious Sunnis and Shias, you all this together and to work for the common cause of the country and lead to development.
Wonderful. Great advice. I hope your words come true for sure. To see the great country of Afghanistan be great once again and be free of turmoil, be free of strife, that the people are empowered, and that education that has done such great things to you in your life and has empowered you so much empowers the young generation of Afghanistan as well. The name of the book is One Life, An Afghan Remembers, From Growing Up in the Harsh Mountains of Kunar Province, Afghanistan, to overcoming tremendous challenges and pursuing education across the globe. Abdul's memoir is a testament to resilience and hope. His powerful journey offers readers a glimpse into the realities of war, tradition, and survival, while embracing optimism and the strength of family. Abdul, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Well, thank you, Logan. Pleasure is mine, and I had a really nice, good time with you, talking to you.
I appreciate your time. Really informative, very insightful. I appreciate it so much. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Logan.
Thank you.
Okay.